Have you ever asked yourself why it feels as though we are losing the culture war in this country? Why so few people seem willing to stand up and speak the truth in the face of such obvious nonsense? Of course, part of the reason for this is what I would consider to be an epidemic of cowardice on the right. The trembling fear which seems to grip so many politicians who call themselves conservatives from ever actually speaking up for conservative causes and, frankly, for common sense. Another reason for this is that for what feels like decades, conservatives have simply neglected municipal politics altogether. Not only do conservatives not run for council and school board seats in this country, but many just don't even pay attention to municipal politics at all. In many cases, municipal politics has more of an influence on daily life than any other level of politics in this country, and the radical left knows that. Petty tyrants who routinely employ Marxist tactics to enforce ideological purity on school boards and councils end up advancing absurd policies that few Canadians ever actually want, and fewer ever know about. Every now and then, however, someone shows up with the courage to actually do something, to actually make a positive change that constituents want. This is one of the most insane stories happening in Canada right now, and few people know about it. I want to introduce you all to Ward 1 Pickering City Councillor Lisa Robinson for introducing motions on the council floor to ban the raising of the pride flag on municipal buildings and to put an age limit on drag shows taking place inside municipal properties. Lisa Robinson has been suspended without pay for 60 days. This 60-day suspension is on top of a previous 30-day suspension because of Facebook posts which accuse Robinson of promoting bullying. The reason for the latest 60-day suspension, according to Pickering's Integrity Commissioner, is that Robinson promoted attitudes which are homophobic and transphobic. An elected official being suspended from doing her job because she is promoting attitudes which are homophobic and transphobic. This story would make sense if it were happening in China, but instead, it's happening in Pickering, Ontario. Sheer and utter insanity. Drop a like in the video, help us out by subscribing to the True North YouTube channel, and the comment question for the episode is this: why have conservatives neglected municipal politics? Let me know in the comments, and let's get into it. Lisa Robinson's story is not the first story we have seen of councils across the country employing these Marxist strategies to enforce ideological purity on council. Take, for example, the insane story of Murray Harbour, Prince Edward Island councillor John Robertson. Murray Harbour is a village in PEI of 260 people. And Councillor John Robertson is facing calls for his removal from public office by the mayor of Murray Harbour, along with a Liberal senator in Ottawa, all for the crime of having a sign on his front lawn which says that the mass grave story was a hoax and to call to redeem the legacy of Sir John A. Macdonald. Not only is Robertson facing calls for his removal from public office because of the sign, but he's also forced to undergo literal re-education, and a third-party investigative team has been called in to look into the matter. We've seen examples like this across the country, but the story of Lisa Robinson should scare every Canadian. For advancing motions in front of the city council, which her constituents are asking her to do, she is being punished and suspended without pay. Her livelihood is being taken away for doing the job she was elected by the people to do. Because Robertson has introduced motions to ban the flying of the pride flag on public buildings, to enforce an age limit for drag shows taking place on public property, and for making sure that there are separate change rooms for men and women while keeping the universal change room at a local rec facility, all of those together, along with the fact that Robinson has a lot of public support behind her, she is now losing her salary. And I want to show you some highlights of the Pickering City Council meeting that took place on Monday when Lisa Robinson was informed that she would be suspended for 60 days. Listen to how the city's Integrity Commissioner and wannabe petty tyrant Mayor Kevin Ash treat Lisa Robinson as she's trying to understand why she is being suspended for doing her job.
Regarding the Chestnut Hill Recreation Center, again, the complex, the Universal Change Room, have you ever been there?
That's not relevant. Please go
No,
on.
it is relevant.
Please go on. Please go on.
Okay, what steps did you take to distinguish between hearsay and reliable evidence while conducting your investigation?
Janice, you can feel free to answer that or not. So.
Yeah, I'm going to pass, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. There's one meeting. I'm the chair. If you don't like the rules, please leave. I've asked you a number of times to do that. I won't ask again.
All due respect, Mr. Mayor, my questions are directed to the Integrity Commissioner, and because so much is on the line, I would prefer if she would answer the questions as opposed to you.
You can ask questions of clarity. You're getting into debate about the findings. Ask questions of clarity.
That's a question of clarity.
Please,
What steps? I want to know what steps she took
no,
to distinguish.
please.
Can you clarify the reasons behind not contacting any witnesses or gathering concrete evidence in this particular
I
complaint?
think that question's been asked and given. Please continue. You can please leave. Please leave. Mr. King, can you please get this? Thank you.
We don't really know what's happening here, right? Because Lisa Robinson seems to be the only city councillor in the province of Ontario who is willing to fight the cultural battles, to stand up and speak out on behalf of her constituents, the Pickering City Council is trying to make an example out of her, trying to show to everyone else that if you speak out of line, you will lose your salary, you will lose your way of life. Well, joining us now on the show is Lisa Robinson, Ward 1 Pickering City Councillor. Lisa, thank you so much for joining the show.
Thank you for having me here today, Harrison. I really appreciate it.
So you've been suspended without pay for 60 days, which is on top of a 30-day suspension. And according to the City Integrity Commissioner, it's because you have promoted attitudes which are homophobic and transphobic. I mean, this doesn't even sound real. Explain to us what's happening with you and what's happening at the Pickering City Council.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to. Back in May, I was trying to bring 3 motions forward. One of them had to do with drag shows and pride events, that I wanted to make them age appropriate. So anyone under the age of 18 would not be able to attend these type of events. And I chose the age of 18 because I was hoping that, there would be some kind of a negotiation going on. And I was willing to drop that down after speaking to many of my constituents to the ages of 14 or 15 at a time where the students are more mentally prepared, more physically prepared to handle, that kind of sexual content. Another motion that I wanted to bring forward had to do with the flags. And that, being a government, being an elected official, being a government, just being the government in general, I guess you could say, is that, we're supposed to remain neutral. And so a lot of people, and this was actually based on the town of Norwich's decision that was passed about a month prior, is that they would no longer be flying any special interest flags because it does create a hierarchy of beliefs. And within our own Pickering policies for flag raising and flag displays, it says we're not allowed to fly any flags that are politically controversial. We're not allowed to fly any flags that come with ideological beliefs. So, I mean, that just made sense that, we'll follow suit and make it neutral because, as you can see, the uproar around the country right now regarding the flags always being flown. The third motion that I was trying to bring forward had to do with the Pickering Recreation Center, which is called the Chestnut Hill Recreation Center. And for there, I was just trying to bring forward a motion that would allow every boy, girl, woman, man, every person really, the ability to choose which change room, washroom that they felt more comfortable in. So, if a biological female wanted to go to a biological female, she would have that choice. But within that motion, I said to also have the universal change room inclusive of all genders and family. Because of those 3 motions and because of the way that my fellow city councillors and a school trustee here in Durham decided to put in their complaints to the Integrity Commissioner, they were saying that I wanted to ban all events or restrict all events that had to do with the LGBTQ plus community. They said that I wanted to ban the flying of the pride flag and the progress flag, which was nowhere in my motions either. I said all special interest groups. And then they said that I wanted to get rid of the universal change room. But in my videos and within my motions, you will see all 3 of those are unequivocally untrue. And so with those reports going to the Integrity Commissioner, the Integrity Commissioner based her own opinions. The whole entire report is based on those lies that were put in forth from the complaints, but also her own opinions and her own biases. Because those complainants weren't even there at the DDSB meeting when I was speaking, which means that everything in her report is based on double hearsay. Again, her own opinion and her own biases.
Right. So I just showed the audience part of the municipal meeting, the council meeting, in which this integrity commissioner is refusing to answer your questions, and the mayor is telling the integrity commissioner what questions of yours she can answer. It's like some sort of weird, it's like they're like tag teaming up against you to try and create this outcome they want. You're saying that the integrity commissioner, based on the complaints she received about your motion to make sure that everyone has a washroom and a change room which they can use in safety, she's never actually been to the rec center to see these washrooms?
She has not. That was one of the questions that I was trying to bring forward. I mean, I went there, I took photos of it, I had the complaints. And yeah, she's never even been there. And I mean, it was like, back in school, back in the day, we used to crawl under to bug our friends or climb over the stall and give them a wave. Well, that's exactly what you can do here as well. And I'm not too sure, but there's actually an investigation going on right now about one of the universities with the co-ed, with the universal washrooms that they have there, where they are, a couple of people are being investigated right now for doing just that, putting the cameras underneath the doors because there's a lot of room, and it's voyeurism, right? I think the Toronto Star or someone just posted that. So
Unbelievable.
It is unbelievable.
I mean, the job of a city councillor is to introduce motions that the constituents that voted them in want them to do, right? That's what you're supposed to do as your job. And I'm assuming most of these motions were, you introduced them because the people who voted you in to do the job you're doing wanted you to introduce those motions. This is what people wanted you to bring forward, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, all three of these motions that I'm bringing forward, constituents have come to me with their concerns and asked me to bring these forward. And it's unfortunate that I can't even get them to the floor because none of my fellow councillors want to even entertain having any kind of a debate. And I'm finding that happens a lot these days, is that people are afraid to have the debate. They're afraid to have the conversation. Instead, they would just like to turn around and call you a name, label you something, just like the integrity commissioner called me a cis woman.
It's absurd. And I mean, they could, as you say, they could just vote down your motions, couldn't they? They could just allow you to do your job, allow you to be paid for the job you were elected to do, and vote down your motions. But no, they're taking it one step further. They're trying to make, it appears at least, they're trying to make an example out of you so no one else, whether it's in Pickering or whether it's in other councils and other jurisdictions, does the same. Is that what you're kind of getting?
Well, that's exactly, what you're saying is exactly what they are putting out. And in the history of Pickering, for as far as our city clerk, when her and I had a conversation, she said nothing like this has ever happened in the city of Pickering before. And I mean, if you go through everything that's happened to Pickering in the past, people have been up on fraud charges. There's been a lot of wrongdoings that have happened in Pickering politics, over the years, and not one time has anybody ever been forced to lose their pay.
It's just unbelievable. Have you received any support from politicians outside of Pickering? I'm assuming that the council is almost all against you, but have you received support from politicians, maybe in the provincial level or federal level, or maybe just outside of Pickering for the stand you've taken?
I am getting an overwhelming amount of support right now. I mean, the emails, I'm getting them from all across Canada, from all the different provinces, whether it's Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, I'm getting an overwhelming amount of support right now. It's incredible. I mean, there's the majority of people want to see this go through. I mean, even alone this morning, I've probably had at least 50 emails from different individuals and from, other councillors like myself in other jurisdictions, reaching out to me and saying, well, you know what, Lisa, stand strong. You have a lot more support than and please don't stop fighting for us. A lot of them are even quite emotional.
Yeah, I can imagine. As a municipal politician, you know that a lot of what you do at the municipal level has more of an impact on the daily lives of Canadians than provincial and federal politics does. But there are so few of you. There are so few conservatives at the municipal level, at least in these larger towns and cities, especially again at the school board level as well. Why do you think that is? Why do you think it is that conservatives seem to neglect the municipal level and don't even pay attention to what's happening at the level that impacts their daily lives so much?
Yeah, it's really sad that, we're not getting more conservatives in at this level. Or, I think it's also that they're also being infiltrated, kind of like what they were saying about, Justin Trudeau's government about being infiltrated, like, what Klaus Schwab was saying there. I think the same thing is happening in municipal level, but I'm also starting to see it happen at the provincial and the federal levels as well. Like, for example, our conservative EDA that we have going on here in Pickering, you can see the people that are going to be running for the nomination, they're liberals, even their backgrounds. I mean, they're using red colors, and it's like, if you want to at least pretend to be a conservative, go with the conservative blue and not a red background. But it's happening everywhere. I don't know why. I don't know why. And I mean, I thought that the mayor was conservative who was sitting with us. And you can see now, and a lot of people have been reaching out to me and saying, our mayor is no longer conservative. The way that alone that, that I was being treated in that video, and the way that, a man was talking down to me, and, one of the mayor, I'm sorry, but I find that is not a way that a conservative behaves. That is more of the way, other kind of people behave, like, just want to shut you down from the conversation.
In that video, he sounds like some sort of petty tyrant, like some wannabe tyrant who's just trying to smack down any dissent and enforce this ideological purity on the Pickering City Council. I'm astounded that actually he marketed himself as a conservative to begin with. Just unbelievable. Well, the last question I have for you, Lisa, is what's next for you? We know this is going to increase your stardom as someone who's fighting against all of this insane nonsense at Pickering. What's next? You're going to continue fighting against this stuff at Pickering, and no matter what happens. So what's next for you?
Well, I'm definitely not going to stop fighting. Everyone is pretty amazed at how strong of a woman that I am for not giving up, for, everyone targeting me and coming after me these days. But yeah, no, I'm not going to give up. I mean, I have bigger aspirations, obviously, to, go provincial or go federal, and work at that level of politics so I can really make a difference. But right now, while I'm here, I'm going to do everything I can. And you know what? Like I said, I'm getting so much support. And if I end up having to work the next 3 years for free because they want to keep on coming after me, then so be it. I worked all through COVID as a paralegal, offering my services for free because I just recently graduated with honors with my paralegal. And, I offered my services for free because I have to give back to the community. That's why I ran to be a politician. That's why I am a city councillor, is for I can make a change, a real change, to politics and the way that it's done. I mean, the leaders that we have right now, the ones that are corrupt, the ones that are trying to silence people's voices, those are not people that we need leading our country, our governments, our municipal government. And that's something that, I'm really, really going to try and strive and change to actually be for the people.
Well, we need more people like you in office. So thank you for joining us, Lisa, and all the best in the future.
Thank you so much. You have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, the winner of the Ratio of the Week prize this week is CP24 for their outrageous reporting on the Lisa Robinson story. Take a look at this tweet. Disgraced Pickering councillor receives 60-day pay suspension for remarks on drag storytime LGBTQ plus flag. Disgraced Pickering councillor. Even by the CP24's own standards, that headline was so egregious that they had to quietly change the words from disgraced to embattled on the actual written story. You know, the edit button on X now exists, and if CP24 really wanted to get their story straight, they would have made sure to correct the tweet as well. But of course, labeling Lisa Robinson as a disgraced city councillor goes perfectly along with the narrative peddled by the legacy media. Thankfully, Canadians weren't having any of it. 295 replies to only 130 likes. As we always say on the show, it's a slim ratio, but they all count the same. Why is she disgraced? Because she disgraced, disrespected, insulted someone, or just because she had a different opinion? That response has over 193 likes. Excuse me, CB24? Nothing she said is disgraceful. She said what a lot of Canadians are too afraid to say. She said that no group should get preferential treatment over another one. Legacy media hacks at it again. What did she say that was homophobic? She doesn't want kids indoctrinated by LGBTQ propaganda or grown men dressed as women dancing half naked in front of kids or reading LGBTQ books to impressionable children. It's called freedom of speech. Why was she docked pay? Just an outrageous story. All right, everyone, that's going to do it for us this week on the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Harrison Faulkner, and this is Ratio.